Well, retirement is kind of an unknown for me. I've been with the mission for almost 48 years. I got appointed in 1975 for 2 years. I thought that was it and I was going to go on, and then, almost 48 years later, I'm just now retiring. There's some grieving process that you go through and what you're losing or what you're leaving behind. I'm excited about discovering if there's still a role that the Lord has for me in a neighborhood, in a local church, perhaps with the mission, and to really apply some of the things that God has taught me with Missions Door in these 48 years. It is a little bit of a mystery to figure out, what's it going to be like afterwards.
We stand on the shoulders of giants, and Rick is very much a spiritual giant. I just feel so privileged to get to be a part of his world and be a part of what he started and led through Missions Door.
When Rick took over as president, he didn't have a honeymoon time like maybe others do. There was a crisis in America, and it was really a crisis among nonprofits and ministries that were scammed. The thing that was so remarkable about Rick Miller was this: he did not cower. He didn't go into a corner. He didn't say, "Oh my goodness, what are we going to do?" He was so proactive that those missionaries under his care, under his tutelage, were inspired to be more, to do more, to be part of something that was amazing.
I think what we always want our missionaries to know, especially those who've served a long time, is that their labor in the Lord is not in vain. Oftentimes they serve with very little recognition, very little applause, and yet most of them have had significant kingdom impact. They've seen people come to Christ. They've seen churches started. They've trained and discipled folks. We want to be a mission that does recognize it. We've tried to do that at key times, but especially at retirement. We thank the Lord for them and pray that even as they move into another phase, that they will still sense His favor and that they'll still be connected to Missions Door, praying for our people, connecting with me or others about what's happening so that they can continue to be kind of that surrounding crowd of witnesses that cheers on the ones that continue to run the race and lead and serve.
He's just done amazing things for the mission. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I really missed it when I left. I felt it was time, but I missed it, and I missed the people. I missed the missionaries.
Rick was not only the man, but man, he was the perfect guy to step in following me. I just liked the guy, and I liked his wife. And we seemed to get along very well. We started out as friends, and that friendship grew through the years.
I love Rick's faithfulness. I think he is faithful to the Lord, first and foremost, and faithful to the mission that God has him on. Rick has prepared the soil well for the vision that God has for us.
He's marvelous at casting vision along the line of, wouldn't it be something if? And it really brought people along.
I think Rick's legacy is massive. To carry his mantle and also be who God has created me to be in leadership is actually a privilege.
We have maneuvered and negotiated through some difficult times, both economically and socially. Through the thick and thin, I think if there's any personal triumph that I'm most excited about is that I'm handing off the mission in some ways in a much more optimistic and better condition than the crisis we were in when I took over. And with a good leadership team and some outstanding missionaries with a very optimistic future, that I'll be able to finish my part of the race and hand it to Derek with feeling good about it. And I feel personal triumph in that.
Keep going. Find something to do that you like and do it. Keep busy doing it.
Jack invited me onto the leadership team before I was 30 years old. And when I came into the team, he treated me better than I deserved, much better than I deserved. And I learned so much from him. For 14 years, we worked together before he retired. He was a mentor and a father to me. I learned so much from him.
Thank you so much for your life and your family, and for your care for us, for Dottie and myself, and now Vaughn. That's been a great encouragement too. So you've been a great friend. Thank you very much.
If I would get discouraged, one of the things I would always try and do is go out and spend time with our missionaries. And the Lord would pump me up because of that. Let's have the joy of the Lord mark our lives and our ministry, and bless people as we go forward.
Rick Miller is a reader. He is a studier of history, and he would not stay static. The issues of the day were issues that not only he could talk about, he could explain, and would often be at the front edge of saying, we need to do this. We need to not react. We need to be before the reaction of whatever the issues of ministry and life were.
I never in my life thought I would have the opportunity to do what I've done and to see what I've seen. And it's just been, the thrill of my life to be a part of what God is doing through Missions Door in our part of the vineyard.
One thing that sticks out in my mind is his care for details and his remembrance of details.
He has a superpower of context. He remembers context so well, and that's because he has a high value on people.
Anytime we had some serious questions about what had happened, we would always go back to Rick and see what we could learn from him. His attitude was always one of being ready to help, and that was a terrific encouragement along the way as well.
Rick sees the very best in people. He really does. He sees what could be. He tries to pour fuel on those flames. And I think at the end of the day, a whole lot of people have been changed because Rick Miller decided that he would believe in God's best for their future.
All of us remember key people in our life, whether they're a teacher, a parent, a ministry leader, a pastor. And they can point back to a conversation. They can point back to a moment. That was an impactful moment that changed the trajectory of my life. Now, it may not be huge, it may not be life-changing, but there's a moment. And I think Rick Miller had many of those moments with many of our missionaries. He was the right person at the right time with the right words that moved people to the right outcome. And I think that that is a unique capacity and ability. And my good friend Rick Miller, he's got it.